Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I'm your host, Amber Kimmel with Kimmel Collective, brokered by Keller Williams Realty. Today, we have Kyle Johnson, co-owner, president of Betty Roses with us. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. You maybe were wondering, or maybe not, I know we're more about real estate living in Abilene, but how and why we wanted you to come in and talk. And what came to my mind is, so often when I'm out showing houses, people often ask me, hey, I want to go somewhere local. They're headed to eat, and they're like, I want to go somewhere local, not a chain. Where should we go? And of course, I always think of Betty Roses.
Thank you.
You're
that
welcome.
Would be my first response.
Yes. And you know, we're in Texas, so you got to mention barbecue.
Of course.
That's a big game
West
here.
Texas.
That's right. Yes. But also that component, along with the fact that I know you guys do a lot of catering.
Yep. We do a lot of catering, we do a lot of live music, and we do a lot of barbecue.
And a lot of barbecue. So along with that catering, I just got to thinking through all the growth and development in Abilene and talking to small business owners and seeing how it's impacting them and affecting them. And I kind of felt like through the catering, you probably have a firsthand seat to where people are meeting, what's going on, and can you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing on that?
Absolutely. You know, the AI projects here has been a boom, and also it's kind of been a bust. If you can get tied in to the AI plants, it's been huge. But also there's a lot of other development that's coming in, piggybacking on the AI. We also have the new squadron coming to the base, which is going to be awesome. So right now we're seeing lots of catering at TX3. That's the AI plant at the corner of 351 and 604. It's in Shackford County. Then we have the one that's just north of town, which referred to mostly as Stargate. There's a ton of catering going on out there. But what we've noticed is that through the door traffic has increased, and I think that's helping everybody. If you're in the thoroughfare of the travel of the people that are working at either data center.
So have you seen an uptick? So you're saying you've seen an increase in the people coming in for dining as well?
Absolutely. Our catering has increased significantly. Our through the door traffic has also increased. You know, word of mouth is still the best way of advertising, unless you're listening to this podcast, and that's awesome. But you know, if you're providing a good product, just like always, you're going to have customers. I'm not saying that, you know, the people that put out a good product won't make a mistake every once in a while, but if you're doing well, it seems like they'll gravitate to your service. And Betty Roses has been really fortunate in the last year to show a significant increase in catering and through the door business.
Speaking of Betty Roses, one thing I think when I think of Betty Roses, it's more of, it's kind of like an experience. Your little slogan on your shirt that says, come for the food, stay for the fun.
Absolutely.
Some people may not know, you guys have a lot going on besides just food.
Oh yeah. We have live music at our Cat Call location 2 times a week, every Wednesday and every Saturday. And then every spring we bump it up a notch and get a little higher quality, or not higher quality, just bigger names from out of town come in for a 6-week period every Wednesday night. And then we do it again in the fall. Also, you know, every crawfish season we'll do a crawfish bowl that's an all-day event. It starts at noon. We'll have all the seafood, crab legs, shrimp, alligator, boudin, gumbo, and crawfish. And we'll have 2 or 3 different bands that play that day. So we've learned that in this environment, that variety is key. Whether it's, you know, a nice cold drink or some live music, hanging out on the patio with friends. And one thing that we've had to do recently with this increase in catering is expand our catering menu. You know, we're doing smoked beef lasagnas, we're doing spaghetti and meatballs that are smoked, putting our barbecue flair on it, but definitely doing some different menus.
What would you say is the most popular item on your menu?
It would be the brisket.
Brisket.
Second would probably be banana pudding.
Uh-huh.
That's Betty Rose's grandmother's recipe, and we still use it today. Most of our recipes we've never changed from the original recipes from Betty, but we've offered, and changed and added some things like our Betty Burger, which is a regular hamburger, but we take cooked chopped brisket and infuse it before we cook that hamburger. So we're doing some different things, and people seem to really enjoy it.
You kind of have an interesting story as to how you got to Abilene and then how you got connected with Betty Rose's. What's
Yeah,
that?
it's I was in the Air Force. I was stationed here for my first base in 1987. I went to work for Betty Rose's in 1992, washing dishes, trying to save money to go on a vacation. Uh, Loved it, loved the people. Betty Rose's Aunt Katie really taught me a lot of the things, how to cook. Dwayne Atchison at the time, who was the owner, kind of took me under his wing and and taught me because I knew nothing. I didn't know come here from Sikkim. So I started in the dish pit and worked my way up. And then in May of '94, I was getting out of the Air Force and I was trying to go to work for Abilene Police Department. And they wanted me to go to work there full time. And I said I would if they would sell it to me someday. And it took me a while, but 2 years later, me and another partner bought the business. That was in June of '96, and then I think the next Texas Monthly Barbecue Edition in '97, we were named top 50 in the state of Texas by Texas Monthly, and we started growing, and it was a lot for a guy from the Air Force who didn't have any education in business. So I've made a lot of mistakes, but hey, we're standing here today.
That was a long time ago. You have a lot of history there.
Yeah, yeah. Terry Stewart's my business partner now. He come to work for us in '97. He bought in 12 years ago, I think. I think that's right, if my math's right. And we've been growing it and cooking barbecue ever since.
Doing a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
What who inspires or where I would never think, oh, I'm gonna find the crawfish boil at Betty Rose's. Like, where do those ideas come from, or what inspires that?
My dad always had a crawfish bowl for his birthday in April. And that's kind of right in the heart of crawfish season. And one day, me and Terry were sitting around talking, and I was like, hey, my dad's crawfish bowl's coming up. And we kept talking about it and thought, hey, let's do a crawfish bowl at Betty Rose's. So the first one was about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, up at our Northside location on East Lake Road.
I'm glad you bring up your East Lake Road location.
Okay.
I've been curious. There are a lot of restaurants that are repeated on the north side and the south side.
Correct.
Chick-fil-A, McAllister's, Chili's. I'm sure there's a long list, but anytime I ask those business owners, historically, they've always said that the south location outperforms north 2-1. But I'm just watching traffic and watching growth, and I can't help but think that they have to be seeing a lot more activity out there. Have you noticed that?
We've had a roller coaster experience up there.
Mm-hmm.
When we first opened that location, we built a building, opened it up. It went gangbusters, and we were doing really well. Still not as good as the south side location, but it was really good. And then you remember a few years back when they redid the overpass there on 20?
Yes.
And it was shut down for a while. It was like you turned a light switch off. The traffic flow stopped. It took me and Terry everything we could do to keep it open. Once that opened back up, it come back some, but not to the level that it was before that. So slowly but surely it's grown and grown. But in the last year to 18 months, we've seen a significant increase, and it has passed those numbers that we were getting before that construction. A lot of that has to do with catering. A lot of that has to do with people meeting on the patio, different groups like the Texans Bass Club meets there for their monthly meetings, things like that.
Do you think the data centers are driving people out that way?
Absolutely. Smashin' Burgers is right next door to us. I think they've seen an increase. I talked to Brenda Heffern today, as a matter of fact, and she said they were picking up there. There was a Golden Chick, I think, right there on the corner of 351 and East Lake Road. You know, it had closed down, and then it had been several different things. There's a new Mexican food restaurant there. Forgive me, I don't remember the name. They're doing really well.
Oh, that's good.
So the traffic has increased there. It looks like the housing has increased there. There's been some houses built out there. I guess you would know more about that than I do. I know they're talking about building more. We were told that there's some like condos going on or townhouses that are going to go on East Lake Road. So
I've heard of that.
you know, the population's growing out there, and as population grows, the restaurants are going to do better.
All we need is that Super Target and the Costco. And
You know, when we first did that, we were on a 5-year growth plan, and we thought, okay, right now there's nothing here but us and Hefs, and all the forecasts showed that the growth was going to be there. And the new movie theater that's out on 20, it was supposed to be at the corner of East Lake Road down by the hotels.
Oh, that would have looked different.
They moved it. So when they moved it, and then Buffalo Wild Wings went out on the 20, it was kind of like, oh, dagger in the heart, you know, because we thought, man, we missed out on a lot of traffic. But now the data centers, the housing, they built a new car wash. You know, is it Mr. Car Wash there on the corner? It looks like we're starting to finally develop that part of Abilene. And I guess with Bass Pro Shop coming, it's on the other side of 20, but you would think that would spur even more growth. But a big box store of some type, like you said, Super Target or something like that, would help tremendously.
I think so. I think it's just going to continue to grow out there. It was probably about 8 years ago, a couple of investors that I find land for and developments for, they all wanted to go that way. And I'm kicking myself because I told them, I said, no, I don't think that's the spot. And now you can't buy land.
It's, you know, we have a lot of vacant land beside us to the east. And we have a lot of land vacant across the road.
It's got a good price on it.
Yeah.
As in,
yeah.
You're going to pay for it.
I can't buy anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somebody will.
They will. You're right.
At this point, with the growth that we're seeing, because how much more growth can be south?
Right.
You know, so at some point it's got to go north, and we're starting to see that. Thank goodness. It's a godsend. It's a blessing.
Yeah, I think it's super exciting. It's a lot of fun to watch the growth.
Yeah. So of course you sell a lot of houses.
That's right.
So what kind of age group, what kind of people are moving in right now that you're seeing? Because in my business, we're having a hard time finding that mid-level person, like servers, dishwashers, grill cooks. Are you seeing more professional type people moving in? Because we're really struggling to find that mid-level employee.
Well, would you say that those people maybe,
We're seeing a lot of those type people that are getting some entry-level positions at the data centers. But you wouldn't think everybody would want to go out there and do that or be qualified to do that. So in the last 3 to 5 years, or really since COVID, it's been really hard to find those people, even though we're paying double what we were in COVID for those positions. You know, like servers are really, really difficult to find.
Where do you think they went?
I don't know. That's why I was hoping you could tell me.
Yeah, I don't know. And I didn't know that or wouldn't have expected that. Like, I thought I was feeling and sensing like people have wanting to go back to work and are going back to work.
I think they're just real picky about what they want to do.
And I thought what I was seeing and hearing is labor pricing was not as high as it was. But you're saying, you're saying the opposite.
I just had to hire a general manager type person. And I paid that person more than I ever dreamed that I would be able to or willing to pay. You know, a good grill cook right now is $15, $16 an hour. Dishwashers, $12 an hour. Some servers are requesting more than the state minimum wage to a server on top of what they're being paid on their tips. I I think people are willing to work. They're just needing more to incentivize that work. But you run an ad, or you put a sign on the window, or you put something on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
or Instagram, or any of the social media genres, you would be really surprised how little response you get for people looking for a job.
That's interesting. I don't think I've known that.
Yeah, it's really, really hard.
So is it fair to say you're hiring?
I'm hiring. I'm hiring at both locations.
I will say too, what I'm seeing reflected in people buying, at least for myself personally, we're very heavy in first-time home buyers, back to that entry-level market.
That's great, though.
Yeah, and maybe that's somewhat influenced because interest rates have kind of balanced out, or maybe we feel more normalized around the 5 to 6%.
Right.
But a lot of people buy, a lot of first-time home buyers, and it's exciting and fun because it's their first time. But
because the thing with me, my first house was over 12%.
Sure.
And my second house was a whole lot lower than that because I met your husband.
Yeah.
and he really fixed me up. So
he can take care of that for you.
Yeah, he can take care of that. So my dad's first house that he bought in Texas was 18%.
Uh-huh.
So 6%.
It's a deal.
It's a deal, unless you had 2.75.
Correct.
So I think borrowing money at 6% is a pretty good rate, unless you can get 2.75.
Right. And that's it's all perspective and where you're coming from and what you know. But it is hard for a lot of people who haven't been in the buying market before. When they see those rates, they do kind of still think that they're high.
I've got something for you. The other day, one of the higher up executives out at the AI plant asked me, he said, "Man, we're really struggling with some of the people that we're bringing in because their spouses or their partners are looking or coming from higher position jobs. They were running big HR programs at places and just different things. And they're struggling to find new work." But I think that's coming because the data centers will bring a lot of satellite companies that feed off of technology. So I'm hoping that those people find that upper level employment that they're used to here, because I think that would entice them to stay in Abilene.
For sure. Yeah.
Instead of making it a stop for a few years.
I do think we're going to see some residual growth in some other industries that come along, because of the data centers that will provide some of that higher level employment.
So how do you think all of this is affecting the commercial real estate prices? Me and Terry own two buildings here in town, one on the south side, one on the north. We've seen increases in property values on both sides of town, but it seems like that the north side is really starting to take leaps and bounds. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, definitely seeing a difference in pricing out there. Land specifically.
Right.
Commercial, you don't see turnover as often. It seems like people buy and hold,
Right.
But even rental rates on commercial properties have gone up quite a bit.
Luckily we're not renting now. We're buying our buildings, but property taxes are a real thing.
Yes.
And that number keeps going up. So, as property taxes go up and more people move in and real estate's more expensive, sooner or later the price of a hamburger has to go up, or the price of a chopped brisket sandwich has to go up, because you're paying more for your employees, and you're paying more for your food, and you're paying more for your electricity, and you're paying more for your water. Water use is a real concern now for us, because the population is growing, the businesses, the AI plants are using more water. So water's a real concern in West Texas. So it's expensive. What are you thinking? Is the price of housing going to go up along the same lines as what we were talking about just now?
I think it's inevitable, but what I've seen to date, it's not, it hasn't increased at the same price as other services and things have. So I
Gotcha.
definitely would encourage people to buy now versus later. But I'm anticipating, I can't help but think that they're going to increase in the future.
Because if you can get a plumber now, there's some great plumbers in town and electricians. It's like, they're such high demand that it's hard to get them there. And when you do, you have to pay
You
for it.
have to
Well, it's
pay.
just like with food. There's some great barbecue places in Abilene. You've got the Shed, you've got Jay's, you've got us, you got Joe's, you got Sharon. There's a lot of established long-term barbecue places here that put out a good product. But I looked today, and brisket was the third highest price I've ever seen per
Interesting.
pound raw.
Uh-huh.
So as that price moves, we have no choice but to go up.
Right.
So you start looking at alternative things that you can put on your menu to lower the price. So will we see an alternative in the real estate market from single dwellings to more apartments, more townhouses, more duplexes? Do you think that's coming?
Oh, yeah. I think we're going to see a lot more of them being built.
Because they're traditionally cheaper,
Correct.
correct?
Yes, yeah.
And if somebody's moving here for 2 or 3 years, if they're in the construction side of the data centers and they're not wanting to stay long term, they won't buy. So they've got to have that temporary housing available, correct?
Yeah. I think part of what's putting, like, combination effect of putting stress on the rental market is a lot of the people moving here are coming from other markets that are more volatile than
Right.
Abilene has been historically.
Gotcha.
And so when you buy here, in the past when you bought here, if you needed to sell in 2 to 5 years, you weren't too concerned about being upside down on it.
Right.
You may not double your money, but you also weren't worried about losing money.
And if you did, it wouldn't be very much.
Right. But a lot of these people moving here from some of these bigger cities have experienced and lived through that.
Yeah, they're
and
petrified.
They're petrified. Yeah,
Right.
and they're like, I may only be here 5 years. I can't risk buying. And I'm like, 5 years? You're going to be solid. Don't worry.
Right. You'll be great.
But they've got trauma from buying in these other places, and like some of them, losing homes to foreclosure because they couldn't give it away.
So what are you seeing with all these RV parks? I mean, everybody's opening an RV park, right? And then, some of the companies are opening their own RV parks. I even thought about putting in an RV park on some of my property, but I changed my mind. Because do you think those people will eventually go, okay, we're going to make this home, hopefully, and buy a house from Amber Kimmel?
Well, I hope they do make that
Yeah,
right decision.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't have good input or feedback on that. I'm so curious.
Right.
Like, how's that going to play out? What's going to happen? When is the market going to be saturated in RV parks? Is there
Right.
such a thing as too many? But maybe it's kind of like self-storage. They tell me that you can't,
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
you
if
can't
build a
go
storage
wrong in
building.
storage buildings.
Yeah.
But, well, I can say, though, personally, I've experienced a couple of people that have been in RVs
Hmm.
and now have bought homes. So they,
Right.
I guess they kind of test the waters and see how it is, and then
Kristen, my wife,
yes,
she's kind of in real estate too in a roundabout way. She's a lender for Capital Farm Credit.
yes,
One time she said, why don't we just get an RV? And, we don't have to have the upkeep on the house. We could travel easier. And I said, well, we still need a shop for all of our stuff. And, you kind of need somewhere to plant your feet.
yes,
So hopefully, I'm hoping that a lot of these people that are in the RV parks now decide to plant their feet here in Abilene. We don't want it to be a giant population increase and then a big drop. So, but the more and more people that I'm talking to that are here that were intending to be here temporarily are going, you know what, we really like it.
yes,
They've come from a bigger city and they liked it, but now they're liking the little city that's getting bigger. And I think because, one, if you're in a little city that's getting bigger, you have more of an opportunity to be part of it.
that's true. I have gotten a lot of that feedback too.
Right.
And a lot of people, many people I've met are kind of in the last phase of their career, and they're like, and they're buying, and they're saying, we're hoping this is our last, stop.
Yeah.
If I ride this out 10 years, and then I'm, going to be set.
Well, a
So.
lot of people that come in the restaurant, say from the data centers or other things, the cheese factory, people like that, they'll come in and they go, y'all are so nice. Yeah. I'm like, well, where were you? Because I thought everybody was supposed to be nice. But it's been fun for us to have a new influx of customers, because then you can sit down and get to know them and learn what things are like where we don't live.
Right.
And hopefully we'll keep our same values.
Yes.
And keep that same smile on our faces as we grow.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that part stays the same.
Right.
I always tell people, I think Abilene's, it's, at least currently, it's easy living. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
Absolutely. The traffic's starting to get a little bad.
Yeah.
And I call my sister, she lives in Austin, and she's like, what do you mean the traffic's bad? Are you looking at 12 cars? And I'm like, yeah.
There's 5 cars in front of me at
She
the
said,
stoplight.
the traffic is not bad in Abilene compared to Austin or Fort Worth or Dallas or Houston. So
that's right.
And I think the city's kind of getting better at keeping up on some of that stuff. There's a lot of construction going on the roads, and so maybe the influx of all these people will help everything.
I think it will. I think it's a super exciting time. It's a unique time. It's something we haven't seen before.
Right.
And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch it and grow.
I don't know if I'll ever retire, but if I do, I plan on staying right where I'm at.
Yeah.
And because, like you said, it's easy living.
Yep, for sure.
So, what's next for you?
Next.
Yeah, like, are you doing any big projects anywhere besides Abilene?
Nope, all here in Abilene.
That's good.
Just staying in the real estate market and looking to help as many people.
I can't go
buy and
anywhere
sell.
without seeing a sign with your face on it, which is a good thing.
We're trying to keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Fortunately, I really enjoy where I live, and I really enjoy what I get to do. It's super exciting.
I would think what you get to do is awesome, because you get to talk to a lot of people, right? And back when we were a little bit smaller, I pretty much got to talk to every customer we had. And I love that, because you get good input, you get the bad input, you can correct things, and you make friends. You make lifelong friends.
That's right.
Now I find myself sometimes too much in the office. But in the last 6 months, I've been in the kitchen. I've been back in the kitchen and back on the pit a lot, and I love it.
What did you tell me you were doing this morning?
At 6 o'clock this morning, I was browning 35 pounds of hamburger meat. It's quite the experience. Today I was making, for a catering, I did a bunch of homemade hamburger chili mac and some grilled chicken chili mac. And I ate a lot of it before I actually served it. It was really, really good. It kind of brought back childhood memories.
I'm one of your best clients to walk in, the customers to walk in the door, because this is probably bad to say, but I'm not a big meat eater.
Right.
So that banana
but
pudding,
you love cheese,
the fries,
you love queso,
all of those things, and I'm sure that all has much better profit margins
than
the meat.
It does. You and Keith are real easy to please. Give Keith ribs, give you chips and queso.
There you go.
Life is good.
I'm good. I don't ask for much more.
That's right.
It's interesting that you said that, though, about when you were smaller and talking to the people. That's why I wanted, not that, but what that makes me think of, we called this show If Walls Could Talk, because, I'm in the real estate business, but behind every real estate transaction, there's a person.
And a story.
And so often in real estate, you're meeting people at very pivotal, critical points in life. A lot of real estate transactions are driven by new businesses, new jobs, new relationships. And on the other end too, people passing away, or they're outgrowing their home, or all different combinations. So I always think there's a story behind every transaction, and that's my favorite part. And that's what I enjoy the most about doing what I get to do, is the story behind the people.
I have some great people that work for me. Chris Terry, or work with me, I should say. Chris Terry, he's been the general manager at the Cat Claw location for a long time. And he's kind of taken a step up, and he's going to be taking more of an active role in managing both locations and helping with all the catering. And an Abilene favorite, Jared Newberry, is coming on, and he's going to be the new uh, general manager at Cat Claw, and he has a lot of experience on the patio and in the bar and different types of menus. And with these guys moving up and taking bigger roles in my company, it's actually freeing me up to visit with more customers and spend some more time doing that. There are some caterings that I like to make sure I'm at, weddings. I like to be there because it's a very special day. You either make people really happy or really sad. And I always tell the bride, the best thing that could happen is you never know we were here.
Yeah.
All you hear is the food was great, and nothing hiccups anything. So I stay really reactive in the catering side, daily operations, but hiring people and moving them up and freeing me back up to spend time with customers one-on-one is giant.
That's
Like
exciting.
Keith Kimmel, your husband,
Mhm.
he always brings in somebody new and interesting and says, "Hey, I want you to meet my friend Kyle," and we get to talk, and it always leads to better business for me and gives me different avenues for the catering and for the restaurant. It's actually great. But if you don't have time to go out and talk, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So
Gotta have good people.
hiring quality, motivated, happy people that are willing to take on more responsibility and move up the food chain really helps the business when me and Terry aren't having to be in there cooking instead of wanting to be in there cooking. Big difference. Helps a ton.
Yeah, I bet that does make a difference.
It made a huge difference. So you'd asked me earlier, where do you see Betty Rose's in 10 years? I'm not sure. It's kind of
Third location?
I don't know. I've been asked and I've thought about it a lot. And I don't know if we try to do a third location or if we just try to make ourselves bigger and better where we're at.
Maybe you need to go downtown.
No, I've thought about downtown, but there's a lot of talented people going downtown and currently in downtown right now. You've got superstars down there. Vagabond's Piece is fantastic. Cypress Street, one of my favorites. The Beehive. You've got a lot of quality people. You've got the Ice House with Ted Evans. There's a lot of good restaurant, entertainment places downtown. So I don't know if that's the right direction I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where we're at currently, we can do bigger and better things where we're at. And I'd like to grow that. I would really like to continue to concentrate on growing our catering. Letting people know that we cater a lot of different things besides what's on our daily menus. The steaks that we do and the lasagnas and the hamburger steaks. And, it's kind of unlimited. And I've had customers ask me can you do this? And I'll be like, honestly, I've never done it. Let me cook it for you and you can taste it. And if you like it, that's what we'll go with.
That's what I was about to say. I know I've seen and heard you do custom requests before.
Absolutely.
You may not want to open that box.
So there's, we would like to travel and cater a little more. We're traveling some, but we'd like to grow that. So where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Well, that's an interesting question. Back in 2020, when it was just fast and furious and everything was just very high speed, and it was kind of throwing deals against the wall and getting through it versus like executing well, like excellent, a level that I like to operate at because that's what the market demanded. I did have a little bit of the mindset of I want to get through this and then redirect, see, maybe go a different direction, maybe get more into just a different part of real estate than what I was doing at that time. But then, since then, I've kind of dialed back in, and I'm really excited about the future. I'm hoping that the next 10 years we just continue to elevate our level of services and what we do. I think it's one thing I like to do is learn from people in other markets and see what they're doing. Abilene kind of sometimes falls into a pattern of doing things the way we've always done them.
Right, because they work great.
Because they work great,
Yeah.
and it's what we're used to.
Right.
But I think it's fun and it's challenging to get outside of that and to elevate things up. Like, let's do them
Yeah.
bigger and better.
Well, one thing that has inspired me is Chris and Moy out at Potosi Live.
Uh-huh.
When I first heard they were going to build Potosi Live, I went, no way, that doesn't make any sense to me. But I forgot how good of a party that Chris could throw, and I forgot how good Moy was. And, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you would have never dreamed of a Potosi Live.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They'd have been like, what? There's a gas station. And look what they've done with it. And they're great people. And sometimes you got to think out of the box, right? And dream a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you doing that because I knew you before 2020, and look how much you've grown. And I think you've grown as a person. I definitely think you've grown as a realtor. I think you've definitely grown as a leader in the community. And I was just curious as what you were thinking next for your future growth.
Oh, well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah. That's it. I have a lot of thoughts around that. That's kind of why we did the rebrand with the Kimmel Collective,
Right.
to bring in more than just, the buying and selling, the developing, the building, the more focus on commercial real estate,
Right.
Bringing in some different avenues. We've got some different people coming in to work with us. So it's super exciting.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. You see a lot of these realtors in town, and there's some great realtors in Abilene, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're all the time talking about their team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of normal people like us that aren't in real estate don't understand how that works. Do you have a team, or is it just Amber?
Yeah, I do have a team. I don't have a super active team currently.
Right.
It is primarily me working firsthand with my buyers and sellers.
Right.
So, but I do have a team, and I have some great people who work along with me.
Right.
Chris Gay is a home builder. I have an agent down in Austin who does that market there.
Oh, awesome.
And then Rusty, who is the head girls soccer coach over at Hardin Simmons.
Oh, that's cool.
So a lot of the people who are currently working with me also have other things that they do
Right.
that are very time demanding.
Right.
But that's one thing that we'll probably look at growing at and bring in some more people to.
Because I've always thought if I'm gonna hire a realtor, I guess it would be you, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But when I hear team, so if somebody calls you, do you pass them off to your team, or do they contact one of your team and then it kind of goes through you? How does that work?
If someone reaches out to me, then they're going to be working with me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because when I call somebody, that's who I want to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And I still have a lot of customers, even though I have great people working with me, like Chris Terry and Jared Newberry and TJ Thornton, and of course my business partner Terry Stewart and Patrick Allen at East Lake Road. These are some of I don't know what I'd do without them people.
Uh-huh.
But I'll have customers call them and go, hey, is Kyle there? And they'll go, no, he's not. Can I help you? No, I really want to talk to Kyle. And sometimes people will call me and be like, hey, I really want to talk to Chris, because they're used to dealing with Chris.
Sure.
And that's when a team member for me comes in handy.
For sure.
Because I trust Chris with everything, or I trust, all the team with everything. And I was just wondering how that worked.
Yeah, and that's probably been one of the things that has limited me and in growing a team in the past, is because I want to be so hands-on, and I want, if someone calls me, I want to be the one
right
helping them. But then beyond that, finding somebody like your Chris who you can count on and does a good job.
Right.
So
and it's been hard, and Chris Terry's been with me for a long time. He took a short stint away working for another restaurant, and then he come to his senses and come back home. But TJ Thornton, he was in the Air Force and retired. And he come in one day and he goes, man, guys, I've always wanted to be in the barbecue business, and how about me going to work for y'all? Well, now I think he likes working for us, but he's not necessarily wanting to jump out and do one by himself. But, you know, you have quality people like that, and what better quality than you can find in a veteran, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you have Jared Newberry with tons of restaurant experience, and my business partner Terry, which me and him have grown together, and we've learned a lot. And
Uh-huh.
you know, people say, well, what doesn't kill you make you stronger? Not necessarily. I made some mistakes that didn't kill me, but I thought it was going to.
Got close.
But in real estate, what I've learned is you better trust your realtor.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like your attorney. If you're paying your attorney to give you advice, and you're paying your realtor to give you advice, trust them.
Yeah,
You
you need to be working with somebody that you can trust,
Right.
and I am so convicted about that and take it so seriously. To me, it's such an honor when someone trusts me.
And I feel the same way when somebody asks me to cater their wedding, you know, or a special event for one of their children, or a special event for their business. Because what's more important than your business, your family, or your spouse? And you know, I take that stuff serious, and I know
Yeah.
you do, because I've watched you work for years, and I think that's one thing about being in Abilene too, is you can walk in, you're our neighbor, not just our customer.
That's
And
right.
I think it helps a ton.
You're going to see those people at the grocery store, and you're
Right.
going to see
You
them.
see them at church, and you're going to see them at the movie theater.
You're going to run into them again. You
Right.
can't hide.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely. And that's what, nothing motivates me more than when someone says, okay, well, Amber, you're the expert in this, and I trust you.
Right.
I mean, that just sends me into overdrive. I've got to make sure and, you know,
Right.
get them where
Well, I
they
think
need
you
to
do
be.
a great job.
Well, thanks.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
I appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. And you know, I do have to go back to work and cook dinner for some folks tonight.
You have some people
but
waiting
I
on
just
some
want to
food.
thank you so much for inviting me today. It's been fun.
Yeah,
Been a
thank
lot
you.
of fun.
We'll get Kristen in here next time.
Hey, I think she would love to do it. You know, if you can get her talking, maybe.
Yes, yes. Well, she's what people probably really want to hear about. Everybody wants land.
Right. You know, she doesn't tell me a whole lot about what she does.
I could see that.
Right. Because, and one, I really don't need to know, right? And I know her customers don't want me to know, but she'll come home and go like, this is selling and that's not, or, you know, this is what's going on with cattle. And it's kind of educated for me too. And you know, she'll say, you know, I'm going here to do an inspection or there to do an inspection. I'm like, people are building there? And she's like, absolutely, yeah. And so she kind of keeps me in the loop.
She's shared a lot of interesting information with me.
There'll be a lot of things here when y'all are sitting at the table.
Yeah,
You know,
she
come
could bring
from
to
both
light.
sides of the market, the lending and the real estate side.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for your time. We'll let you get to cooking dinner for those people waiting on
Absolutely.
their catering orders.
Absolutely.
If someone wanted to, I guess, find out some of those items that you have available for catering, they could catch
the
in
catering,
either location?
They can always contact us on our website, bettyroses.com, or they can call my personal cell number, 325-669-1115. I'll talk to anybody anytime.
That's awesome.
All right.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks
for coming in.
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you later. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.